Luke Robinson, the runner-up of WWE's Tough Enough from the past season, and he is joining us today for a great interview. So what's going on, Luke?
Oh, that awful music again. I'm just playing. No, I'm having a good night, guys. I haven't heard that music in a while. I can't believe it's, what we started the day after WrestleMania, huh? So it's almost been a year since that first episode aired, and we would have just been finishing up primary filming right about now, so it's pretty wild. Time goes fast.
Wow. Yeah, so, well, why don't you tell some of the listeners about yourself, Luke, in case some didn't watch Tough Enough or are just completely unfamiliar.
Recap the season? Is that what you want me to do? Or tell
them about yourself, like who you are, where you're from.
So the long and short of it is I was born and raised on a farm in Maine, but kind of grew up. I always had the sense that I wanted to do something bigger. And anyway, used to hate professional wrestling. Was one of those jerks who was like, you know, it's fake, right? And around when I was 15, I started watching the Rock Mankind storyline, fell in love with it. Went to college, got my business degree, didn't want to do that, so started training with Tony Atlas to become a professional wrestler. Mr. USA, WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas is my trainer. Started doing some shows in the Northeast region, made a name for myself, did a couple WWE tryouts, auditioned for Tough Enough, made it, and got to be introduced to a much larger scale audience. Unfortunately, again, if you didn't watch the show, I was one of the finalists and did not win after really outperforming everybody on the show pretty consistently, both in and out of the ring. And the other thing, I guess, to say about me is usually there's not much middle ground. Like, people either really, really like me or really, really hate me, which I'm perfectly okay with. And, I'd rather be polarizing than forgotten. So that's kind of the long and short of it right there.
Well, yeah, and that's interesting. You said you worked with Tony Atlas?
Yeah, that was I trained with him 5 days a week for 3 months straight the summer that I turned 21. And Tony and I developed a real close relationship. And I have a wonderful dad, but Tony is a father figure to me in the sense that, he really took me under his wing and introduced me to the right people and really went to bat for me when it came to that. And, gave me the key to the gym, so I had access on the weekends to go kind of really expedite my wrestling, the learning curve of my wrestling knowledge. And he's just been instrumental in everything I've ever done in this business.
Yeah, that's really cool because Tony Atlas is obviously a Hall of Famer, obviously very well known, and seems like you learned a lot from him. Yeah,
and the coolest thing I learned from Tony is about what he calls walking the line. It's, nowadays when we turn on wrestling, we know we're not watching a quote-unquote real fight, but people don't want to be blatantly reminded of that, like just like seeing the boom mic in a movie, You don't want to be reminded of that, and the key to me with both not even just doing moves, but also as a character, you want people to have that sense of doubt. Even though they know they're watching an entertainment product, you want them to go, is he really, I think this guy really is a jerk. I think you really hit him right there. And he goes, if you just get that one doubt, even one time during a match, when people know they're going to watch something that's, again, quote-unquote fake, then you really have them. And I've always took that to heart.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. Now, you talked about your kind of before your Tough Enough days. You wrestled for North Atlantic Wrestling. What was that like? You were you held a couple of the championships there.
Yeah, one of the companies. I think that that specific company we were started for a while running a weekly show. This was right when I got into the business. A weekly show just off the University of Maine campus. And we were actually able to support a weekly indie show with a couple hundred people for almost 2 years, which is pretty crazy in today's, independent wrestling world. And again, imagine how, some people say, oh, yeah, I've been wrestling for, 3-4 years, and they wrestle once a season, So now I was in a very fortunate position to be able to, wrestle weekly, right when I broke into the business, and kind of worked out the kinks real fast. So again, I got way more experience than the average person would, and I just had, of course, when you first start anything new, it's nerve-wracking. And then now I'm at the point where it's just like in professional sports, the best at what they do kind of say the game slows down for them. And that's kind of where it is for me. Like, I'm just very comfortable now, and I know no matter where I'm thrown into, if I've never met my opponent, if I, no matter what the situation, it's just natural.
Yeah. And yeah. Now, Graham, you had some questions?
I do. One
All
question comes from our fellow Bleacher Report feature columnist and also host of Ring Rust Radio. He asked us to ask you, what was that one moment that you knew that you wanted to become a professional wrestler one day?
It really was that Rock Mankind storyline. I can't stress that enough because that's when everything clicked. I think I almost want to say that. Remember the halftime heat during the Super Bowl where they did the empty arena match?
Yes, wasn't that for the WWE Championship, I believe?
Yeah, in an empty arena, and it was just like, again, that storyline has got me hooked, and it was that match, I think, again, that I was more, because I realized I love Super Bowls are my favorite events every year, and I was more excited for halftime heat to watch Mankind and The Rock than I was for the game, and it was that moment, I think I was 15 or 16 years old, and I was like, you know what, beyond, like, little kid dreams, you're like, I want to be an astronaut or this or that, that was the first time I was, as a young adult, that I was like, this is seriously what I want to do. And I started taking the steps then towards that. I started calling it a goal instead of a dream, because a dream to me sounds too far reaching. I was like, no, I'm going to try to make this happen. And, we literally, me and my jock, quote-unquote jock friends, like I had good friends. They weren't like stereotypical, like jerk-type jocks, but we were all, the school star athletes, and on the weekends we do instead of backyard wrestling, we do basement wrestling, and because we do strobe lights and music and dry ice and storylines and stuff. And I used to joke it was almost like our like drama club for jocks, And it's hilarious to look back when Tough Enough happened. And some of my friends that I hadn't seen since high school went, "Oh my God, you actually did it! You actually." This is just like our goofy little like thing we did in high school because we were all wrestling fans, and you were serious when you told us that this is what you wanted to do, and they were, real proud that I stuck with something, because most people, they might have a dream as a kid and they abandon it and never ever pursue it as an adult. And one of the messages that it sounds a little cliche or cheesy, but that I tell kids, I don't care if someone fails at their dream, but at least try, so you never have that regret of not knowing.
Yeah, that's very,
very inspirational. Yeah, a lot of us, there's always that one point in every wrestling fan's life that they always want to become a professional wrestler. As you said, a lot of people want to do it, but they don't continue to pursue it, but they need that dedication. And it seems like you definitely have that dedication. You obviously came this far, and you're going to keep on going. So it's that dedication that certainly gets you to that point.
And on that note, let me address one more thing that I think is important. I hate when, quote unquote, veterans or whatever, they throw around the word mark like it's a derogatory word. Well, you mark if you like wrestling too much, you mark. And I just think they never have stopped to realize that they loved this so much that as a fan that they wanted to do this. So the people, us workers, are the biggest marks of them all, and people need to remember that workers, before they throw around that term like it's a derogatory thing, because ultimately, no matter where you are, whether in TNA, ROH, WWE, you don't work for Eric Bischoff or Vince McMahon or whoever the promoters. You work for the fans, because without them, your boss doesn't get a paycheck and you don't get a paycheck.
Exactly. And definitely one advantage of becoming a wrestler when you're growing up and being a fan from the start, that's definitely going to help you and know what the fans want, because there's a lot of wrestlers out there that don't know what the fans want. And I hate to say it, there were some wrestlers out there that are second, third generation superstars, and they didn't grow up as a fan of wrestling, but they more got into business because their family did. I hate to say that because that's not the case with every wrestler, but in your case, it's definitely the inspirational story that you're a wrestling fan from the start, and you grew up to become this, a professional wrestler and go on to pursue your dream and the dedication.
And you're so right, though, and you shouldn't look at it like, I know you're kind of apologetic. I hate to say it, but it's true. You're right. That as a wrestling fan, when someone's been plucked from, a fitness model or a bodybuilding profession, and they don't really give a damn, and they don't know. As a worker who's also a wrestling fan who can keep it in check. That's the thing. It's like, I'm not saying that you run up to everybody you meet and go, oh, my God, Mr. Undertaker, can I have your autograph? You have to act like you belong there, and that's important to me. Like, you have to, if you want to be a professional, you have to act like a professional. But at the same time, you should be a little excited. I don't care how much of a superstar you think you are, when you see The Undertaker backstage, that's cool, and it should be cool. If you're a real fan, it should be cool. So, I don't think that's a bad thing at all to say. And, again, it shows that you guys actually care about what you're doing. And, like I said, this wasn't my backup plan. And I've been pretty vocal about Andy and the whole decision of everything. And, it's no secret that we don't really get along, but that's exactly why it bothered me. Wrestling was his backup plan. Football is what he wanted to do. Wrestling is his backup plan. So it's like, I'm doing this because I have a true love and a passion for what we do. And, of course, people who believe that, quote, reality TV is reality are a little numb, first of all. Like, I chose Tough Enough as a forum to already develop the character that I love to play. It's easy. My whole life, without doing anything, I can walk in a room and there are going to be people who hate me because of the way I look. They think, oh, here's this pretty boy, arrogant jerk. And so if that's the person they want, that's the person I'll give them. And so, I've read forums where they're like, oh, at least we don't have to worry about Andy getting drunk and being a party. Luke just wanted to do this because he wanted to be a rock star or whatever. And so what's cool is that, I worked everyone over. And I can tell them right now to their faces, I worked you. I'm a super nice guy who lives on a farm in Maine. And then tomorrow I can get them to hate my guts still. Right in their face after telling them exactly and showing them what I do. And that's a real heel. I've told people, I have a therapy dog. We visit the hospital every single Friday. And, I can tell people stuff like that. I visit the hospital every Friday with my dog to visit sick kids. And tomorrow I can say things that will get them to hate me and completely forget everything.
Wow. That's the mark of a great performer. That's awesome.
Actually, on a side note, I also have another question. Actually, two questions on your fellow competitors on Tough Enough. One on Andy, then I'll get to Martin in a second, which is actually an interesting topic. I saw some of your videos, which were absolutely hilarious. The one that you just posted, actually, but we'll get to that in a minute. But the one on Andy, he had some background, I believe, in FCW before he competed on Tough Enough as Kevin Hackman, I think. So
he was there for a couple of
Yeah, exactly. So I personally don't think the judging was completely fair in that sense.
Right, of course not. It should be common every single radio contest in the whole world. Like if you were affiliated with any employee or if you are an employee of our station, we regret you are not eligible to win this prize. But apparently the WWE was like, no problem. We'll just sweep that under the rug. And ultimately, again, I'm no conspiracy theorist, but it seems pretty clear that they ultimately wanted to use Tough Enough as a big, commercial for FCW in the long run.
Yeah, pretty much. Because more of the fact, it all comes down to the fact that Vince McMahon likes more big superstars, like Big Show, Mark Henry, Kane, all those guys, and Andy Leavine kind of fits that description. And then more so, my point of view, he is a good guy in overall, and I was a little disappointed that you didn't win Tough Enough, and like, okay, it's Andy. But then I was more disappointed 2 months later after Tough Enough, he was suspended for violating the wellness policy. Exactly. So that's not always the smartest decision because he just won Tough Enough, and we haven't seen him on television since, and we haven't heard anything on a Tough Enough Season 2.
Right.
So I'm not too sure. I don't think that was the best move in my opinion, but I don't know. Hopefully
well,
he gets
of course.
back to me soon.
And the thing is, you say, like, oh, he's a nice guy. He wasn't. He was probably the least nice person on the entire cast. He
really?
secluded himself in his room. He had an overt homophobic gay panic attitude. Like, if you go to, like, hey, bud, like me and Jeremiah, like, hey, give each other a hug, like, good job, buddy. He'd be like, I ain't hugging, I'm a dude. He'd walk by the pond on the way to the training center and be like, oh, I'd love to shoot some fish in there. Like, are you serious, dude? Like, you're trying that hard to, like, put over that I'm a man. Like, I shoot fish. All right, dude. Like, go throw a stick of dynamite in there then. And like I said, ultimately, we saw that he was a liar and a cheater. So where's the good guy-ness? And I don't mean this. I do. I mean this in a very real way. He's 23, 24, okay? And has 2 kids already. And you got to remember that I know every parent's going to go, you know, it ended up, they're my miracle, da-da-da. But really, that's their way of justifying the fact that they screwed up and didn't wear a condom or birth control or pull out or whatever. So to me, I need to support my family and blah, blah, blah. Kind of sounds like, well, I kind of screwed up and knocked up my girlfriend, so we had to get married. And then I accidentally did it again. And now I really want a job that's easy where I get to not even be around my family because they probably stress me out. And, you know, like that's the real world facts. Whereas I went to college, I have a wonderful friends and family support system. I'm single and I've stayed single, use protection because I want to be a marketing machine for the WWE. And those are the true reasons why I've stayed single and don't want that, because I just want to be single and be able to do whatever I want traveling the country and be, like I said, a machine for that company, much in the same way that John Cena and The Miz have been. I have that kind of gypsy soul, so to speak, where I just love to travel. I love to do what I can to promote, you know, the company I'm working for, and I love to interact with people. So anyway, that's my I'm off the soapbox on that topic. So Martin,
also, during the finale, when they were showing, you know, for the first hour on Tough Enough, on the finale, they were showing your backgrounds and whatnot. And as you said, I mean, they really, really, really covered up the fact that he wasn't a nice guy, as you said. You were there, so you would know. And they really covered that up during the entire 2-3 months of the show.
Well,
and then during the exactly. And then during the final episode, they showed, you know, they were giving him the sob story and how he. I can't remember it exactly, but they gave him some kind of sob story when he was crying when he won and all that garbage. But on the other end of the stick, you were the perfect superstar to win WWE Tough Enough. And I'm not just saying this because you're on the show, but I legitimately think that you should have won the WWE Tough Enough last year. But also on a related topic, during your video on the series finale, you were shown in a video with Matt Taven, also Northeast Wrestling superstar. Now, I really caught up on that. I was marking out when I saw that because I know I met you in Northeast Wrestling a couple months ago. I know you wrestle for Northeast Wrestling. I've seen you compete there against Lawler and Tommy Drew, all those good matches. Now, we had Matt Taven on the show a couple months ago, and I asked him about you and your relationship with him, and you said you guys were really good friends. Do you want to elaborate on Matt Taven or anything Northeast Wrestling and anything of that sort of concept?
Yeah, actually, I'm in Northeast Wrestling this weekend, Saturday in Waterbury, Connecticut. But Matt is one of the most incredible people I've met in the business, and here's why. You know, obviously super talented, good-looking guy, and a lot of people like that tend to be either, you know, have some deficiency, and that's why I get stereotyped like that all the time. Like, oh, here's a good-looking guy. He must be a meathead, or he must be a jerk. But Matt Taven really is one of the most all-around nice guys, and not nice like in the, well, you know, some people use nice meaning they're cordial. Like, anybody can be polite, but how many people actually know how to be funny, engaging, genuine? That's what I say when I call someone nice. None of this like, well, they're quiet, so they're nice. You know, some people do that.
Yeah.
Well, they're nice.
Exactly.
They've never done anything to me. To me, they're indifferent. They're nothing. I'd rather be something and have people hate me than be nothing and have people like me. So anyway, Matt is just amazing sense of humor. I always joke we have like fat kids sense of humor. You know, we're like Chris Farley trapped inside 6 foot tall, dark, and handsome body. So that's really what I have to say about Matt. Just really great athletic talent, great personality, and it's cool when we get to mix it up in the ring because our brains really work, the same way, the way we like to tell a story to the people. So, very
good. Yep, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, he's a really genuine guy. They actually, in a shameless plug here, as you said, this Saturday they have WrestleFest 16 in Poughkeepsie, New York, I believe, one of their biggest shows of the year. They're going to be having Matt Hardy there, Ultimate Warrior, all those guys. What was that?
I think Friday is WrestleFest in Poughkeepsie, and then Saturday is Waterbury, Connecticut.
Yeah, and Saturday they have they don't have Ultimate Warrior Matt Hardy there, but they will be having John Morrison and Melina, I believe, or John Hennigan or whatever he's calling himself.
A couple of great shows as usual.
Yeah, they have awesome shows. They really do put on the quality of a WWE show up front, but just a lot more interactive. Because I went to a WWE show a couple years ago, very quiet. They wouldn't let you. I mean, there's a lot of restrictions on what you can do as a fan. Believe it or not, like a lot of signs and stuff. You can't bring in a lot of chants. You can't start.
Yeah.
But at NEW, it's a fan-friendly environment that you can really interact with the crowd and you can really interact with the wrestlers in the ring. So that's what I love about Northeast Wrestling. But moving on to our next topic, Martin also from Tough Enough. This is the most interesting thing that I wanted to ask you about. I saw your videos regarding Martin. Hilarious stuff, and you also made some solid points as well. He made like a 45-second video trying to refute your points, but he didn't do a very good job of it. So, you want to elaborate on your so-called feud with Martin over social networking leading up to the independent circuit match coming up?
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing: is everything I say is 100% true. I will tell you that right now. There's nothing that I am not saying in any of those videos that is not 100% true. From the video I disclosed a huge deleted scene that I talked about where Bill, this was the week after that they did they called me selfish during that one where I wouldn't shake his hand. I mean, you should have seen him. He was gassed out of his mind, and you can see the way we're standing there. I was ripped to shreds, and he kind of looks like a little boy's body standing next to me. We were doing an international drill, leapfrog spot, and he fell over because he had no energy left. I shot a pin on him, and that's when they go, oh, he's selfish. So I was livid. But again, looking back, and I said this in my my interview right on that show, I said, well, they are going to grade me on a curve because they need some drama here. It was so clear and obvious that I was so head and shoulders above everybody, physically and on a charisma level. I mean, it was just blatantly obvious. And everybody was too numb to understand that, hey, it's an international television show. Here's an idea. If your real-life personality is boring, don't be you. If you sucks and you're on international television, don't be you. Because these people would do that and not understand that here Luke is the grand architect, like a Picasso painting the strokes behind the scenes, and everybody's going, I was the reason for anything interesting on that show every single week. If someone had something to talk about, every quote-unquote storyline that was good was because of something I said or did. In other words, they're all footnotes to who I am. Martin is a footnote to Luke Robinson. Without Luke Robinson, there's no relevance to who Martin is. And I know he probably thinks that, my friend said I should have won. Well, of course, and they're going to be blinded by that. If I hadn't got hurt, I definitely would have won. Well, guess what? It's like I said, it's called Tough Enough. Not tough enough under certain conditions. You got hurt, therefore not tough enough. There's no debating that fact. So it blows my mind when fans will be like, well, if he hadn't gotten hurt. And no, he wouldn't have. His body would not have held up, which it did. I mean, it's not debatable. And you can clearly see, as you said, from watching these videos, not only from a wrestling standpoint, and let's face it, in the WWE, that's secondary, right? I mean, wrestling quality is secondary to how entertaining you are, and that's the business that I want to be in. I don't make any apologies for that. John Cena doesn't cry himself to sleep at night because I'm not a great technical wrestler. Oh, I hate making millions of dollars, waving my hand in front of my face. This is awful. Stone Cold wasn't going, I hate having my fist fold over in piles of cash, and all I have to do is drink beer and give the finger to people. I feel like such a fraud. No, they love it. They love it. The less you have to do, what other line of work are we like, man, I hardly have to do anything and I get paid a ton of money. Where would we complain about that? Well, that's what wrestlers are doing when they go, well, John Cena, he can't hardly do it. He has such a short move list. It's wrestling. You can pick what move list you have. If he wanted to do a bunch of suplexes and chain wrestling, he would. And again, point is you can clearly see by these videos, which are mine are actually fun, exciting, entertaining, engaging, and like you said, his was forgettable at best. Who should have won Tough Enough and Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I said this on Raw. That's the best part about having the truth on your side is there's video evidence that nobody can deny. Stone Cold said, well, why do you think you should win Tough Enough? This is on the finale, and I said, you told me that you were looking for the next superstar. Well, you found him. He goes, you think that's you? And I said, hell yeah. And it was that simple. And it's just so clear and obvious when you watch back that that's the truth.
Wow.
Exactly. Speaking of the finale, by the way, I was just watching that a couple days ago. That was kind of shocking to me. You cut this amazing heel promo when Stone Cold asked you why you should think that you should win Tough Enough. And then Andy, when Andy went, he said, I can guarantee, and then they cut him off right after that. And then you cut this amazing heel promo.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
And that's the thing that would hurt the most. And Steve Austin, in his article, they did an article in WWE Magazine right before the season aired. It was like the week before it aired. It was one where The Rock was on the cover doing that Superman pose, like ripping his shirt open. And that issue, right? Yep. And he said, whoever I pick, I'm going to really expect a lot out of because they have my stamp on them. And like you said earlier when you said, you thought Luke, you really would have been the ideal choice. Here's why, and not to again, if I was looking at it from an objective standpoint, like if I wasn't me, why I would have been that choice and he would have been proud to put a stamp on me is because I was race ready. Every other winner of Tough Enough, because of how they picked, normal people who were just learning, they had to send them to development. 2-3 years later, they finally get in the ring, and by that time, people don't care, and it's not really relevant that, hey, this person just won Tough Enough. I could have stepped onto that road, into that ring, the day after I won and been a valuable player to the WWE. And I would not have submitted to the curse of the pressure of the winner because everybody else wasn't ready for that. This season, they finally had someone who would have been ready to handle that pressure and to step right into a high-end storyline. I mean, think of all the possibilities you run with where even as a second place, as a runner-up, they could have ran so many things bringing me back right away with Steve, like, that I'm resentful towards Steve Austin and there's just so many ways to create a monster heel that would have made money. Because the fact is this. Here's what a good heel does. People want to pay to see you get your effing ass kicked. And that's what I do. People love to hate me. I mean, it's insane how much hate is bred for me. And that's what a heel does. People want to pay to see you get your ass kicked. And I am perfectly okay with that. When the time comes, I will take my beating with a smile on my face, all the way to the bank, knowing that I did my job.
Yeah,
exactly.
And just want everyone. Yeah, on 1 second. Just want everyone. We're going to be going off the live stream in a minute, but catch the rest of the interview on the archives in about 15 minutes. All right, now moving on. And now you were talking about how you were a ready superstar. You were ready to be thrown into the storyline. And we have not seen hide nor hair of Andy Leavine since the season finale when Stone Cold stunned him in the middle of the ring.
Well, actually, they aired a vignette for him on the 4th of July episode of Raw, I believe, for that Silent Rage gimmick thing, but that never went anywhere, though.
I think that's right before he failed his drug test, and so then that got kibosh.
Yeah, well, see how forgettable that was. I don't even remember it, but do you think that if it had been you, we would have seen more of you?
Would I have been what?
If you had won instead of Andy, would we have seen more of you? Would you have been different?
Oh, without a doubt, and I just laid it out for you in full detail of why. And again, there's no learning curve for me. I've been trained by the WWE system. Again, I've done OVW seminars. I was trained by Tony Atlas. Of course, I had training with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat during the FCW week. I've done seminars with Al Snow. In other words, every single I've never wasted my money on these gimmicky indie promoters who go, I'm going to run a training class, and it's some fat guy who's never left his state. I've been trained everything I've done up through by the WWE system. And so, in other words, it's none of this, hey, let's waste 2 years in developmental. It's like, hey, let's take advantage that we just did an international show that aired every week before Raw with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and give it some accreditation value, give it some value by putting this guy right into a, like I said, a high-end storyline. And the thing is, and I'm sure you can, grasp it from even, having a 20-minute conversation with me like this, is I have a brain. And that's what's going to separate the people who make it from the people who don't, is that I can take a storyline, I can take an angle from a writer and make it my own and put a spin on it that's engaging. Some of these people, it's like they're trying to teach them on the road how to wrestle, how to act, how to do everything, and they end up fizzling out fast. I mean, look what happened to, guys like Kozlov, who's the guy, Sylvester Terkay, some big guys who don't have that charisma factor. And again, we've seen time and time again that it usually ends up failing. And for being, a quote-unquote big guy's business, look at the guys who are thriving, or who have thrived, from your Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho, and right now Kofi, Ziggler, Punk, Miz. These guys are my size or smaller. You know what I mean? And ultimately people don't want to see some big lumbering idiot. They want to see the right mix of athleticism and storytelling. Guys, I have a personal training client showing up right now, so I do have to cut it right about now, but It's been an absolute pleasure. And any time, again, that you guys have more time and we can continue, I'd love to do that for you guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much for calling in. We appreciate it.
All right, my pleasure, guys. Looking forward to talking to you guys again.